right, I think it's time if everybody's ready. We'll get this meeting started. Welcome to the Roseville Joint Union High School District Board meeting for July 28th. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prior to this meeting, the board met in closed session. In closed session, on motion of Board Member Frantz and second by Board Member Hall, the Board of Education voted to approve readmission case 1-22/23, and that vote was 3-0 with 2 members not present. And our second item, Board Member Frantz, second by Board Member Hall, voted to approve a stipulated expulsion order in case number 1-22/23. And those both have the same case number, which I don't think is correct.
Yeah, one is a read case and one is a expulsion.
Okay, but they have the same case numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. And that motion was voted on 3-0 with 2 absent. Next is announcement of meeting protocols. We'll have opportunity for the public who has joined us tonight to speak at different times. One is an open session. If you'd like to address the board during the open public comment, that is time to address us on any issues that are not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. At that time, you'll have, was it 3 minutes? You'll have 3 minutes to address the board. On any agenda items, you'll have an opportunity to speak on agenda items. Same amount of time. The discussion on those items will be limited to the agenda item that we are hearing. And we are recording this meeting. Communications.
No communications this evening.
No communications. Committee reports. I do not believe any committees have met because we've been enjoying summer, but they are starting again next week. If you do want to speak, we've got public comment cards. If you'd fill one out, then I know to call you. We're on public comment. Deanna Poncetti, you are our first and only public comment. Welcome. No. Don't be starting that.
What I'm providing you is information that was compiled after speaking with all of the band directors at the area high school in the district based on last year's numbers. So I don't know what this year looks like. I'm not going to pretend to know, but I wanted to revisit some things that were discovered at the most recent board meeting. I was trying to get here, but I was driving back from California. So grateful for Mr. Hodge who came and spoke, and I know that after that, Mr. Bashan did discuss the possibility of increasing the pay for the band assist and the choir accompanist, which is paid for at the district level, because the current allocation at this time does not even cover their costs, and that's putting a huge strain and expectation on booster groups that are struggling already just to provide basic funding. I also know there was discussion regarding bus miles that could possibly be allocated for band or perhaps just performing arts in general. As of right now, the mileage is given to the school sites, and then that's up to the site's discretion, and for the most part that is going towards sports because of the number of students, which I get it, but those are non-curricular areas, and this is a co-curricular activity, band and performing arts. Right now, out of the general budget, the district has allocated $1 million over the next 3 years for athletic trainers, not a core subject area. And if I've done my math right, the board, at the initiative of Mr. Constance last time, increased their pay from $60 a month to $400 a month. And if I'm understanding it correctly, that's an additional $20,000 a year, which I'm assuming is also coming out of the general budget, and that's in addition to the healthcare package. Mr. Hubbard's not here, but I really did appreciate him and want to put that on the record, that I appreciated that he was trying to get the board to vote for an either healthcare or the $400. I'm not saying you guys aren't deserving. I know you're doing a lot, but that's not directly benefiting the students. So anyway, this is all going to show that there is money in the general fund. It should not be solely up to the parents to fund their children's co-curricular activities. My child is taking a core subject, and I expect the district to support that program. My child's band experience shouldn't differ because he is at Oakmont rather than Rusk Park or Antelope. I don't think anyone in this room would justify high schools in the same district having different quality math, science, or English programs. But for some reason, the fate of the band program is being left up to the individual sites under the principal's discretion. This is not okay with me, and it's time for the board to take action. My proposal, something that hopefully sounds familiar to Mr. Landon after talking with Mr. Hodge this summer, is to have a rotating budget that each school can depend on for big ticket items like uniform replacement, instrument repairs, trailer purchases, and things that most booster groups cannot afford as we are struggling to pay for the year-to-year operational cost. This is something that's currently being done in the Elk Grove School District, and it's very successful. The board's mission statement now includes visual and performing arts, and it needs to be more than just words on paper. I really hope that the board and district show their commitment to the arts through their actions. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in 2 weeks.
Perfect timing. Look at that. Right on the zero. Thank you very much. Anybody else before we move on? All right, we're going to go to our consent agenda. I will just note that there was one amended resolution in it. So if you haven't looked at that, make sure you look at that before we hear the consent agenda. And we will be pulling item 4.19 for separate action. Anything else that would like to be pulled by board members or staff? With that, I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda absent item number 4.19. Need a motion?
Oh.
So we have a motion? Which one made the motion?
You made
No, I said I will entertain a motion.
Oh.
No, no.
I motion to.
All right.
Second.
A motion second. Any discussion? Roll call vote?
Yes. Pete Constant,
Yes.
Marla France,
Yes.
and Heidi Hall.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to just take 4.19 right here at the end of the consent calendar. Dr. Moore?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Constant. We have had multiple purchase orders come through after we added this to the board agenda and in reviewing our multiple PLTW, Project Lead the Way pathways across the district. We'd like to go ahead and recommend adjusting the amount in a not to exceed $150,000, just so that we're clear and are not bringing back these little piecemeal $25,000 here and there. That would not require us to spend the money, but it would pre-authorize that we could use the money for PLTW with that particular vendor of Project Lead the Way. And also amend the budget source would be both CTE incentive grant and Perkins grants. These are both CTE specific grant funding that is already budgeted for these purchases.
Any
Happy to
questions?
answer any questions.
Questions on this item?
This cover all schools?
Correct. Yes, so this happened from one school, and then after we put this on another school, then we realized we're gonna keep getting these.
Any member of the public on 4.19 before we get a motion? I'd like to make a motion. As amended.
As amended.
We have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. None opposed. 3-0 with 2 absent. Information items. RCA report. I don't believe we have one tonight, right? They're not back. With that, we'll move into item 5.2, the annual report. Board debt issuance and management. Ooh.
Yep. So each year we kind of update our existing bonds and where we're at as far as paying those off. And as you know, these bonds are about 30 years in life typically. The bonds that we have outstanding, the main ones were, we passed a general obligation bond in 1992. That's almost completely paid off. After that, it was 2004, and the most recent one the board may be familiar with was 2016. It was Measure D that was passed. We've issued all the bonds for those, and then lastly, there's it's called the SFID. That's the bond that's for people who live out in West Park only. You can see I won't go through all these in detail because there's a lot of information numbers. I really like looking at the projected tax rates. That's based on per $100,000 in assessed valuation. So when you see it like currently sitting around $40, that's for if you have a $100,000 house. So if you have $1 million house that's assessed on your property taxes, you're looking at paying $400 a year towards paying off these school bonds. And so you see in about 2024, there's a pretty much drops from about 40 closer to 20 as the 1992 and some of those big ones drop off. Typically, because Roseville is growing and has been growing for a number of years, we put in some conservative estimates on assessed valuation growth. The way it works is we have a bond payment that's due, and it's shared pro rata based on the assessed value in the entire district. So as everybody's values increase, we all pay a little bit less. So when we see growth and assessed values going up, new houses being built, that kind of lowers the burden for everybody. So these are kind of conservative. Of course, with all the impacts of interest rates, I'm not sure if that's going to have an impact in the next couple of years, but you can see there's a pretty good drop, and then you see it goes to about 2045. Now, we also look each year to see if we can refinance. You may notice on the listing, you see the word refunding bonds. That's essentially like a refinance. So when we refinance our house, it's just a refinance loan. But for general obligation bonds, it's called refunding bonds. So when interest rates are super low in the last 7 or 8 years, we refinanced a lot of these bonds and locked in some pretty darn low interest rates. We haven't done that in the last couple of years, and I don't expect to now that interest rates have gone back up. It's probably not going to be worth our while to do that, but we still look each year. And so we have underwriters and financial consultants who go over this with me each year, and we look to see if that's something. So if in the event there is a good opportunity, then I would bring that back to the board as I did in the past to see if we could save taxpayer dollars by refinancing. So we get our credit ratings. We still have excellent credit ratings. So those get updated once every few years through Moody's, Standard & Poor's, or Fitch. And with that, I will stop talking and see if there's any questions from the board.
Can you just explain primarily for the folks in the audience, the difference between a GO bond and a certificate of participation?
Yeah, so a GO bond, or general obligation bond, is a bond that is that is assessed to your property taxes. They go direct. Essentially, homeowners pay that directly. A certificate of participation is something that's on the general fund that the district pays off. And so that's something that we've issued, and we use developer fees and other means to pay off a certificate of participation. But that's not something that the homeowners directly see on their property taxes or anything like that.
Any questions? I don't have any cards. Any members of the public? No, this is just an information item with no action, correct?
Correct, just information. We'll come back again next year and provide this information.
We'll be looking forward to it. We'll now go on to item 5.3.
Dropping off.
The alternative school survey report.
Thank you, Mr. Constant. This is an annual survey that we will be giving at Independence High School. It is required for alternative schools, and Independence is under that category. And what's interesting about this type of survey, because the data is something that we get in other surveys, but this particular survey must be conducted by someone other than a school staff member or district staff member. So we were appreciative of the support of Placer County Office of Education in partnering with us to conduct and gather the data. So this report was put together by them, is submitted as an information item, and then we report it to the state, which is due August 1st. So we had to present it here to you in July so that we can meet that deadline. We're pleased with the results that the staff or the students and parents are largely agreeing with the great work the school is doing, and then there's areas for us to always improve that we look at with staff and reflect and create plans accordingly. So no action needed, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions?
I just thought it looked really positive. I often to say agree to basic statements instead of strongly agree. So I thought agreeing to that was good.
Any members of the public on this item? Again, that was just for information, so we'll move on to our public hearings. 6.1 and 6.2 are the public hearings to receive comment from the public, and then we'll take action in item 7.1 and 7.2. First one being public hearing for PE physical fitness testing waiver. do we need to have any staff discussion before we open for public comment?
We don't need to. It's your call. If you'd like me to just.
Let's see, do we
Describe
have
it.
anyone who wants to talk on this issue? Then we'll save it for the action item. So we'll open and now close the public hearing. Public hearing for 6.2 PE block schedule waiver. Again, we'll open the public hearing. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move right into the action items on each. 7.1 is the physical fitness testing waiver application. Now, if there's anything you'd like us to know.
Yes,
fire away.
thank you. These two waivers are related but different, and we are planning to apply for these waivers with the California Department of Education. It does require board action in support of the waivers. And to get to this point, I just wanted to share the process that we went through. It was led by Mr. Mike Fisher, who's in the audience in case you do have any questions. He worked alongside our PE teachers at all of the 6 comprehensive high schools to draft these waivers, and it is all related to our 4x4 schedule. So the education code is designed for high schools that are not in a 4x4. It's designed if you're in, for example, a 6-period day, you take PE in 9th grade all year long. Well, in our model, they take it in 1 semester. And so we need to have that waiver for the other semester. And then the testing one, so we're on 7.1 is the testing waiver. It would make sense to us and to our school sites that if they're in PE in the fall, let's have them take the mandatory physical fitness test for 9th graders in the fall. But EDCO does not automatically give us that permission. We have to file for this waiver to allow that. Otherwise, we would have to pull them out of classes in the spring when the testing window is formally open to test in a subject that they didn't have since the prior December. So some of these are just make sense, but we just need to go through this process. We greatly appreciate the partnership of the teachers. We did also work with RSCA in reviewing this, and they are in support of these applications for waivers. So that kind of looped 7.1 and 7.2 in together. One is for the testing specifically. The other is because our students aren't in PE the whole year long, and so we have the provisions. CDE staff have reviewed these. They do believe it's approvable, and we're asking for this now because it is a very lengthy process to get on the State Board of Education to get the waiver granted. And by approving these tonight, we should be on track to get it on the November State Board agenda and hopefully approved so that we can actually do the testing in December and not have another year of having to pull students out. So that's kind of where we're at in the process. But this was quite a bit of time last school year in developing and getting to this point.
Can't imagine the state taking a while to get something done. Any questions?
Yeah,
on
I have a
these items?
question. So about the schedule waiver. So in order, I'm assuming in order to get that, sounds like the kids have to log their 40 minutes every day over 10 days or 400. It was like 400 over 10 days, I think it was. What happens if the kids don't do that?
We did ask that, actually. Mr. Fisher did. He did a great job. I just really want to appreciate his work on this.
I did
And
do it. I'm sorry if it wasn't, I missed it.
no, yeah, it's interesting because the state doesn't exactly advertise it, but nothing happens. So what we do is we guarantee that we have a system in place, and we monitor and we do our absolute due diligence, and that's what they care about, and they don't actually look at the results.
So we don't actively advertise that nothing happens. to
Correct.
kids.
So
Okay,
although
so
I am
that's the
saying it in
documentation
public,
problem.
we're not going to be putting that in writing.
You know, all 10,000 kids watch our board meetings.
I know. Now I said it out loud.
I assume no members of the public want to speak on this since it's the same item we just had comment on. Okay. Unless,
So then I have one more
I'll-
question, because I know it comes up frequently. A lot of kids play sports, band, dance. People often ask, why can't PE why can't their sport take the place of PE? And I know going over everything that's involved in PE, there's so much more than just physical activity, and that might just be the answer, but people ask.
That is actually on our radar as part of our curricular audit, because that is actually our decision of how we issue credit. But it does require, or it would be beneficial if we have the partnership of our teachers in the process. So it's not something that we would do overnight. we would want to work with the teachers in making those sorts of recommendations, and so that is on our radar as we activate our teams and look at our curriculum. We would love to. We know some of our visual and performing arts programs would like that. We need to work alongside our PE teachers to get that support.
It's fewer PE classes.
And
Who's coaches who run those positions, and it's a staffing issue.
Okay.
right, and we haven't engaged in that conversation in the last year, and before that we had some unusual years, so it's something that we're ready to engage in and see if there might be interest in partnering on.
But obviously that's not part of this. I was just
Correct.
wondering. Okay.
So I have like the opposite question, which I don't expect an answer to at all. It's just more piquing my curiosity because I am kind of the opposite, and I'm probably the only person who feels this way, but I really don't like that there's only PE for one semester, just my own background and bias. So I'd be curious to know, is there any data, I'm sure the answer is no, but is there any data statewide or countrywide that shows that doing PE on the block schedule is beneficial from strictly a health and fitness perspective? Because to me, it just is bad. But if you are in a sport, and I agree 100%, if a student's in a sport, then let's waive the
There's
PE
potential for
requirement.
injury also, because I know there's
Right.
some sports are very specific about their training.
Right.
And throwing in an extra PE mile or that's.
Yeah, it would be excessive almost. So I just wonder if there's anyone at a state level or a federal level who looks at that kind of stuff. Probably not.
I would have to look into it. I don't know it offhand.
It's
They would only use the physical fitness test, which is your
Right.
push-ups, sit-ups, sit and reach, pull-ups. That's all they would look at.
I would just be curious as a mom of a non-athlete high school student whose PE is his primary physical activity, and then that semester that he doesn't have it,
Sounds like a
That's
good
why there's a
doctoral
form to
research
fill
program.
out.
Interpretation.
I know
Form,
you're
and
you
fill
can,
out his
you don't
form.
tell
Oh
him.
no.
You can find out and get a degree. All right, you okay if we take this as one motion? Okay, let's do a motion for 7-1 and 7-2 together.
Okay, I motion to approve 7-1 and 2.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Okay, 3-0 with 2 absent. 7.3, CSBA membership and services for 22-23. I don't think we need a presentation on this. Anybody here from the public want to speak on this? Any comment or a motion?
My only question is, what sort of benefit are we getting out of this? Dare I say that?
Well, I will answer
I
part
mean,
of
I
that.
know there are training sessions and things, so.
I have a lot of disagreements with CSBA, but I will say that we do use their Gamut Plus, or Gamut Policy and Gamut Policy Plus to keep all of our board policies documented and straight. That's the sort of the largest part of what I believe is their benefit. It's not necessarily the largest part of their cost. And then the training that they provide new board members and ongoing training. Did I miss anything from staff's perspective?
No, and then they have the annual conference, and that brings all the board members from around the state together, which is good team building, collegial conversations with like districts, stuff like that.
All right, motion to approve, motion to second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, none opposed, 3-0, 2 absent. We now have 2 contract proposal public hearings. We'll do 7.4 first. Do you have any presentation or just open for public?
Quickly, the district plans on sunshining, Article 5, paying allowance, Article 6, health and welfare benefits, and Article 22, layoffs, so that we have language that's compliant with the recently passed AB 438 in terms of that layoff process. So these are the district's proposed articles to open when we go into negotiations with CSCA in a couple of weeks.
And the next item will be the reverse. Anyone from the public like to speak on this item? Seeing none. It's not really a comment one for us as much as just an approval so that they can march forward.
Mhm.
I motion to approve 74M.
Second.
You are both so compliant today. All in favor, say aye.
Enjoy it.
None opposed, 3-0 with 2 absent. 7.5, which is essentially similar, except it's their proposals to us. Anything
Yes.
you need to add to that?
Yes, CSCA also will be opening up Article 5, pay and allowances, Article 6, health and welfare. With Article 5, they also, in addition to just looking at wages for everyone in the classification, they're also looking at doing some increases to specific classifications that they think may be in need of some adjustment. And then Article 28, transfer procedure, they want to clean up some language there that they believe will clarify the process and draw some specific language around the use of longevity or seniority in making those decisions.
Anyone from the public like to speak on this one? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? That passes 3-0-2.
Thank you.
Item 7.6, resolution for repairs, emergency dry rot repairs at Roseville High School.
Yes, first off, apologies. The subject line that's actually water line repairs. Everything else throughout it, the resolution and everything in the briefing is correct that it's water line, but in the subject it says dry rot. So apologies for that, but it's a water line repair issue that showed up about 2 weeks ago. Our maintenance staff was working to try to address it. It was beneath the steps that are the main steps that go up to Roseville High School, to their administration, and they were trying to address it, and it quickly became more than they could handle. It was quite a bit deep, a very, very old water line, that we weren't aware was even there. And so we had to get some more extensive contractors on board because it's anticipated to be above the $15,000 threshold where we normally have to go out to bid. We reached out to Placer County Office of Education to get their approval and seeking the board's approval to do an emergency award in order to get this addressed for the start of school. If we went out to bid, by the time we did bids and got a contractor on board, school will be starting. And right now we have 2 buildings that we have water shut off to, so that would not be okay for the start of school. So we found a contractor who had some availability that we have worked with, Abide Builders, who has agreed to do this work, and a time and material contract to address the issues. So staff recommends the adoption of this resolution to authorize the award for emergency water line repairs.
Any member of the public like to speak on this item? Seeing none, comments, questions, or motion?
Motion to approve.
Water.
Water is important. Did I hear a motion, Heidi?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
It's a resolution.
Oh, it's a resolution.
Yes.
Roll call vote.
P. Constant,
Yes.
Marla Franz,
Yes.
and Heidi Hall.
Yes.
All right. 7.7, District Office New Building Design Services Fee Proposal.
Yes, this item was initially approved by the board back in 2021 for authorizing the district to start the design process for a new boardroom and new district office. We've been doing a lot of work with staff and coming up with what that would look like, and we're planning to bring to the next board meeting kind of where our design is at right now, to kind of get input from the board. We've done, I think, 1 or 2 meetings with the facility committee, but since this is a pretty big project, we wanted to bring the next discussion to the board meetings, to the total board, so you can kind of see the project and give any additional input into it. It's a pretty big project right now. We're looking at essentially demolishing this building, but before we do that, building a 2-story building that would be behind us. addressing areas with parking, making sure Oakmont has enough parking, and one of the core things we're needing to do is have a better boardroom that meets our needs. But another big piece is bringing together a lot of our departments that are very spread out across the district, particularly ed services, which is some people here, some people at the Professional Development Center, a number of people at Independence High School, Roseville High School. So they're special education, which is predominantly at Challenge High School. And so that's one of the predominant things, is be able to bring everybody together, have more collaboration and more efficiency. So our plan is to come back at the next board meeting to kind of go over what our proposal is so far, some of the efficiencies that we believe we can gain. And we're also a growing district. This district office was built over 30 years ago when we had, I believe, only 2 high schools at the time. And so we've grown quite a bit. And this building is intended to be there for even future growth, making sure we don't have to build another building later. So this is just the design services agreement. The cost could go up or down depending on what our final contract price is. But this is pretty standard with a architectural services agreement, where there's like between 5 and 15% of the cost of the project end up being in design services. So everything has to go to the Division of State Architect. It's got to have fully approved design. And so they're doing quite a bit of work for us. So we've worked with Rainforth Grout Architects on a couple projects. They've also done some other district offices, like at Folsom Cordova, a number of big projects. So they have a lot of experience. So with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Any members of the public like to address us on this item? Come on up. Yep, no, you actually do. Come to the mic and state your name and address. Yeah.
My name and address? Did you say
Or
that?
just, yeah, sorry. My old board, we made him say name and address, so kind of in the habit of that.
My name is Heidi Fiddler. I'm not going to give you my address.
That's okay.
So my question would be just, do you have a projected cost for the overall project, since you're saying the beginning is 5 to 10 or 15% of that? What are you looking at?
Well, we're going to go to the board right now. We're looking at about a $21 million project.
And the next thing I have to say is, do you really need a new building, especially at that cost?
Yes, our staff and district, it's been a need for a number of years, something we've put on hold. And especially when we passed our bond measure, we wanted to address a lot of the issues at the school sites. And so we focused a lot on West Park and a lot of the issues. And then a lot of it came up with our boardroom, where we didn't have a boardroom that met the needs throughout COVID. And we were using Wood Creek's cafeteria, and also it's caused a lot of issues over the years.
Can you explain how we're paying?
Hold on.
Sorry.
Don't. We'll finish public comment.
Okay, fair enough. I would let you talk.
Yeah, but I won't. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna take some time to process that, and I'll get back to you guys. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any other members of the public? Okay, now questions from the board.
Developer fees are paying for the. I'm jumping on top of her question too. So how are we paying for this?
Yes, it is predominantly in developer fees. We're also getting a number of the projects we paid for out of Measure D. We had state matching monies, and so now the state's finally catching up their matching monies, and so we have additional cash that's coming in from the state to help pay for this as well.
And we'll go into that in detail when we have the meeting on that particular topic. This will allow us to get enough information to have that discussion. Any other questions on this? Motion to approve the architectural agreement.
Second.
Oh, I was asking for a motion.
Oh.
So the chair doesn't make motions, sorry.
Sounds like you're making a
Yeah.
motion.
Your turn.
I will make a motion to approve the
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 3-0, with 2 absent. Next item, 7-8, Oakmont High School Tennis Modernization Bid Award.
Yes, this was a project that was approved by the board back on September 23rd, 2021. And so after finishing the design and going out to bid, we were actually pleased to receive 5 bids on this project. We'd like to be able to at least get a couple, and so that way we know we're kind of getting market value. As you can see, it ranged from just under 1.5 million to 1.9 million from the 5 bidders. And so staff recommends awarding the low bid Lehman Construction in the amount of $1.488 million and change. We've worked with Lehman Construction on a few other projects as well, and they've been good to work with. So we think this is a good project.
Great. Any members of the public like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. Questions?
So I was a tennis player in high school, and so my first thought is it sounds like it could take up to 6 months. What happens to the women's tennis team at Oakmont? Are there plans?
Yeah, we're working with plans that we've got. Is Melanie, do you remember what we're doing with for Oakmont this year?
There's a lot of issues with different tennis courts.
I know, I can't keep
throughout
track
the
of them.
district, So I can't recall offhand who's gonna go where, but they're working with
Yeah,
different.
But
they all have.
they're being accommodated. We're not.
Yeah, they're just
okay.
maybe a little bit of a
Okay,
challenge
that's
for one
probably
year. I
frustrating.
know there's like Johnson Ranch, and there's a couple other ones that we've been working with.
We have 3 schools with challenges because Mahaney is down.
Yeah.
West Parks isn't finished.
Yeah.
Tennis
It'll
courts
definitely.
are really interesting.
The city reneged on their promise to build some. There's all kinds of issues.
They'll probably be ready for the boys. So I was just like, well, what's happening with the girls?
No, we come up, but
Okay,
it just
all
may
right,
not
I
be.
just don't want-
You know, the
okay.
practice times may be a little challenging, but yeah, they've come up with solutions. So.
I'm sorry, how much was it?
Hang on a minute. If you want to speak, you got to come up to the mic.
Yeah, Poncetti. How much was it?
1.48 million. All right. With that, do we have a motion?
No motion.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? 3-0 with 2 absent. 7.9.
Yes, this was another project that was approved back in September that we've gone out to bid and received initially 5 bids for the transportation department EV bus charging, as we've got some electric buses coming. We also had, for the infrastructure, we had a $200,000 grant from Placer County Air Quality District. We did expand the project a little bit to ensure if we had more electric buses that we'd be ready to go and we wouldn't have to dig anything else underground. And so that we're doing a little bit bigger of a project so that we could so it could be scalable if we get access to additional electric vehicles. As you see, there's 5 bids that were received. We did Ample Electric did reach out to us. They were the low bid at $605,000. But afterwards, they realized they made an error in their calculations, and so they requested it be withdrawn. And so staff agreed. We noticed the error that they put a wrong dollar per square foot, like like $15 instead of $1.5 kind of thing. And so staff recommends, and we would approve their request to withdraw and then award to the second highest bidder, which was K-Bar Electric at $725,000. And as you can see, the other 3 bids were just a bit above that. So it seems that's kind of the market value. So staff recommends the approval of the award at the $725,000.
Any members of the public wish to address this item? Seeing none. Questions, comments, or motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. 3-0, 2 absent.
Thank you.
We'll move on to 7.10, increase to daily pay rate for substitute teachers. I'll just start by saying yay. Go ahead.
Good evening. Thanks for that. As you're all well aware, as we've had several conversations over the last couple of years, it's been really difficult to get well-qualified substitute teachers, and conversations with surrounding school districts, Rockland, Placer Union, Western Placer, etc. They're also struggling with the same issue of trying to find a solid pool of appropriate substitute teachers to put in the classroom as needed. In attempts to increase our pool, we have broadcast high and low on professional education platforms as well as general job platforms to try to see if we could get substitutes from lots of different locations. Over the last 2 years ago, when COVID hit, we increased our daily rate from $135 to $150 on a temporary basis. To give you guys a full understanding of what the rates look like around the region, we gave you Exhibit B, which is all of the substitute rates for Placer County. And so as you look at that list, what you can see is $200 a day at places like Ackerman, $180 a day up at Colfax. Obviously, those are up the hill more, so they're going to have to put more money out there to get folks to go up the hill. You can see $240 a day at John Adams Academy, $160 a day at Loomis. Some school districts are getting really creative, like Roseville City and Western Placer, and they're offering $180 to $200 a day on Fridays only. In addition to looking at Placer County, I know that last time we brought this to the board, there were questions about Sac City, San Juan. So to give you a little bit of an idea there, Sac City has a range, and their range is somewhere around $150 to $220 a day. San Juan sits about $200 a day. Elk Grove is about $160 a day. Elk Grove had been at a much higher number during COVID, and has since come back down. But I don't know, obviously, if they've got plans to increase as well. Please also make note as you're looking at Exhibit A, which is our proposal for the changes, that in there are the changes that would coincide with the addition of pathways. So as you look at that and the proposal to increase the sub rates, that's a piece of this. So with that, staff recommends the approval of the proposed increased daily pay rate for substitute teachers effective August 9th. Board approval of this agenda item would increase the daily rate from $135. Remember, although we're at $150 right now, that was temporary. That MOU goes out of place starting the school year, so we'd be going from $135 to $180 a day. And so at this time, I'll be glad to entertain any questions I can answer for you.
Just starting an escalation war.
It's a really good question. We have really good conversations with our partner districts, and that's one of the things we're really trying to avoid. In conversation, I have had conversations with a lot of the folks at the surrounding districts, and they know that we're planning on going there. Western Placer has gone to 165 plus 180 on Fridays. So they're kind of going there. We think that going to 180 would put us at a really nice number where we're competitive, and it wouldn't keep people going up and down. What we may see is some of the other local districts around us bump up to $170, $180 a day to make sure they're in that range. But that's exactly the reason why we wouldn't want to say, okay, let's go to $200 a day or let's go to $210. Yes, yeah, that would absolutely be one of those things that would cause our partner districts not to be so happy with us.
I would just add that when we approved the temporary, I think the board wanted to go a little bit higher. We were restrained a bit. So I think it's a good spot to end up. Any members of the public like to address us on this item? Any other questions for Rob? Oh, all right. How about a motion then?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. That was not a no. There were none opposed. 3-0, 2 absent. 7.11. What is this? This is approval of hiring a teacher on a provisional intern permit. I think it's pretty well explained in here. Anything you need to add to this?
Questions? We've done a diligent search, and this is a candidate we're familiar with. He's subbed for us in the past. He's in the program up at PCOE. We think he's going to do an outstanding job, but we just need to get him a temporary intern credential in the meantime while he completes that program, and he'll get plenty of coaching and support. So we're asking for the board's support.
Any members of the public like to address us on this item? Any questions, concerns, or a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? None. 3-0-2 again with 2 absent.
Thank you.
7.12, a resolution to authorize the opening of a new checking account at B of A for a student body account at Adelante High School.
Yes, in the past, Adelante High School didn't have much of a active student body. With the addition of Roseville Pathways and an activities director, so they're increasing their activity quite a bit. The few dollars they had before just ran through the school site funds, but now that it's growing bigger and more students are getting involved and more fundraisers and stuff, it's appropriate to open up a checking account through Bank of America where they can, make, night deposits and stuff like that, and have better access to cash for their student body accounts. So staff recommends that the board approve the resolution authorizing us to open a checking account.
Any member of the public like to address us on this? Questions, concerns, or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second is a resolution, so we'll have a roll call vote.
Yes, P. Constant,
Yes.
Heidi Hall,
Yes.
and Marla France.
Woohoo. That was our last item. Next regularly scheduled meeting will be August 11th, right here. 8.2, pending agenda items. You can see those there. Board and staff comments. We'll start at the end and work our way around.
Just working hard. We've hired nearly 60 new certificated staff, getting them all cleared. Dozens of classified as well. So we had our admin kickoff earlier in the week. It was a lot of great energy in there. So I think people are excited, looking forward to the professional development days next week and getting everyone together again. So
Sounds good.
yeah, ready to go.
Thank you. Pass.
Pass, nothing for me.
Just want to welcome everybody back from the summer break. It's nice to see everyone. And then just like to make sure to invite you next Thursday to our PD day, but we have a kickoff in the morning with breakfast and everything over at West Park. Obviously, Barbara will get you more details on that, but people like to see everybody. Like I said, everybody's trickling back in. So.
Sounds good. All the way at the end over here.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this. This was really,
Color code that somebody else obtained.
they look pretty.
I like to
So I was gonna say, I know I was at Granite Bay, several times this week, and its activity is charged, and I'm sure it's going everywhere, including the band, since I have a band kid, 9th grader. And while it is also hard for me to see so much money being approved.
You probably don't want to talk about items
Oh,
under
no,
our
okay,
jurisdiction.
sorry. So I keep on bringing up, Scott's not here. I'd like to see, we need to figure out how we can talk about some of this. I would like to see that happen.
We will have a future agenda item on this.
Okay.
So you're making an official request for
I'm
an
making
agenda.
an official
Okay,
request. Maybe
We-
I've done it before, but I'm doing it again.
we will do it.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Hey,
Pete, you're so good.
I don't know about that. I did coordinate all our clothing to make sure we all wore blue stripes. So.
Blue stripes. I have it in my calendar for Thursday and Friday next week. Is that wrong? Really
There's
quick.
2 days of it. Yeah, there's 2 days.
Okay, well, I'll connect with you
Yep.
after.
Yep.
I'm just excited to get the school year up and going again. I feel like we haven't had a meeting in a month, so I've missed you guys and missed this, and I'm excited for a full year that's normal.
Normal.
And thanks everyone for coming. Good to see you all.
All right. Well, I don't have a lot. I'm just excited to get the kids back. Dropped my daughter off at a bunch of events the last few days. It's nice to see them doing things, and can't wait for the schools to open. That is it. So, really, that is it. We're done. Thank you all.